Hello.
Hi.
This is a nice little wee room, isn't it? Small room. Yeah.
So widescreen format.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Cool.
There's people
How
behind
is
you.
everyone?
I got mentor stuck in my tooth, so that's why I kind of look like I'm doing this the whole time. That's why.
Now, it's so cool that you guys are here.
That's so disgusting. Sorry.
It's okay. I'll just really the time. I'll just tell some
Hideous. Sorry, it is really stuck in my tooth though. Carry on.
Now, you being here, together, how often do you now catch up with, fellow cast members, and how often does this happen? I know we had a pretty massive reunion, just a couple, which was kind of like for a lot of fans, I think, like we're coming out of the pandemic was still kind of going on. It was like the light at the end of the tunnel was this awesome Harry Potter reunion that we were all so stoked to see. But how often does that happen? How often do you see cast members and catch up with them?
Yeah, I feel like that filming of that show was a surreal experience because A, we were all together, which is hard to get all of us in the same room at the same time. We'll see each other in different parts of the world, at different times, but everyone concentrated. And to then actually be on the sets that we spent so much time on was just like mind-blowing. And I think, like you say, it was such a wonderful thing, and I loved it. Was received so well, so many people watched it. I remember at the time being quite surprised we were already doing a reunion, but then I figured out it was a reunion of the first movie. I was like, are we that old already? But I love doing it, and yeah, we have things like this, or going to support people in what they're doing, whether they're in a play and going to see them do that, or watching their show, or it's just so cool to be able to continue to support each other in the new chapters we're in.
And I think going into this project, you probably had some sense of maybe how big this was going to be because the books were, were quite popular at the time, and here we are, years later, and we've built this, massive thing. Did you have a sense of it, or I guess or were you still kind of unprepared for what this would become?
Yeah, very unprepared, truthfully. You're right. I was aware of how large the books were. But still, I'm 10 years old at the time. The world outside of Leeds, England doesn't really exist. The idea of people in Niagara Falls, Canada, reading the books, people around the world, it just doesn't really compute, And people can say, oh, it's big all over the world, but you don't really grasp it, And then I think that when I went for the first meetings and I met all the producers and casting directors and Chris Columbus. I think they were the first Americans I'd ever met. It was very exciting. Words like Hollywood and stuff. It was exciting, but not for me. I didn't expect that was going to be for me. Anything that was going to be this whole global phenomenon that it went on to become. Not at all. Not at all. Even now. What are we? 22, 3, 4 years later, I still think this is completely insane to be in this room in Canada and you're all listening to me. It's baffling. It's really incredible. And to answer your question, no, I wasn't prepared at all. The first time we went out to the first premiere, the film wasn't even out yet. It was the premiere, the red carpet, and people were shouting Matthew. I'd be surprised if they were shouting Neville. How do you even know the film's not out yet? But they were shouting Matthew, and it was just completely mind-blowing to me. And then every year it seems to get bigger. I didn't think we'd do them all because we decided. Did you sign up for the 2? Yes, we signed up for 2 at a time. And I honestly thought, the second one, they'll probably get bored of it or whatever, and we won't do anymore. And I kept thinking that right up until I signed on for 6. When I signed up for Goblet of Earth, Half-Blood Prince, I thought, I think we're going to do them all now. I think we're going to do them all. I fully anticipated that it would kind of run out of steam a little bit. For it to still be going now, 2 decades later, wow.
Yeah, and it's so big, and then when people rewatch these films and they see you at this age, and it's almost like sometimes people forget you grow up. Because I know a few years back, some pictures of you were all over the internet, like, damn.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Everyone's like, I'm like, well, people grow up, and I'm like, wow. Not to put you on the spot or anything, but must have felt pretty cool.
Is that your question?
Yeah. Or you're like, yeah, that's right.
That's alright. Hey, look, at the end of the day, people can say a lot worse things about you on the internet. And do say a lot worse things about you on the internet. So, a lot of people saying nice things, yeah, it comes with a degree of pressure, the right word. I know you feel a bit kind of, oh shit, I don't actually look like that. Like, if these people, once the spell wears off, they'll all realise that they've all gone mad for a little while. It's okay. going to complain about people saying nice things.
True, exactly. There's a lot of people's backgrounds on their phones, I'm sure. Okay, well, we're going to go to... You know who you are. We are going to go to some fan questions. We have 2 audience mics. We'll get to as many as we can, and kind of be mindful of the people that maybe you're blocking if you're standing in the aisles and whatnot. I know it's not the best setup, but yeah, we'll get to as many as we can. So let's start over on this side. Go ahead. What is your question?
Hello.
Hi, I actually have 2 questions.
That's cheating, but okay.
The first one is, what is your favorite scene to film, like from any of the movies? And the second was, if there was a different era of Hogwarts to be adapted to screen, what would you want it to be? Like Founding Fathers, Marauders, that kind of stuff?
Good questions. The first question, I think anything that we filmed in the Burrows. I just loved being a Weasley so much, and I just love the Burrows. It was such an unusual, weird set that just truly was just so well designed. There was not one straight line in that room. Like everything was kind of slightly angled, and the floor kind of drifted off to one side, and it just felt so unique. And I just had so many warm memories in there. And then the second question. So many. So personally, my favorite book in the whole series was The Order of the Phoenix, and I loved all the characters that make up the Order, and I loved all the Aura characters, and I loved, from Tonks to Sirius Black to all those characters. I would love to hear the sort of their story through Hogwarts. I would love to have seen like that era, and Harry's parents and all that, basically that time. Learning more about Snape and just all, I would just love that era of them at Hogwarts, or maybe like just postgraduate of Hogwarts and when they were becoming who they were as Auras. I would love to do that story. And I feel like when I've spoken to people love that idea too, and I feel like there's so many, whether you're going backwards or forwards, there's just so many tales to still be told, I think, within the Wizarding World story.
My favourite scene, is that what you said? Sorry. My favourite scene was when we blew up the bridge in Deathly Hallows Part 2. Because it was just loads of fun. Just running up and down the bridge. We had night shoots, which is always a novelty. We put the camera on the back of a quad bike, and it would either be chasing me or I'd be chasing after it. And it's really cool stuff to do at work, you know what I mean? It's really exciting stuff. Cool makeup, stunt work. We filmed a large section of it. We actually did blow up a sizable section of bridge. And we had to do that because it was so large. In a room not dissimilar to this. The 007 soundstage at Pinewood Studios, where they make James Bond. And so, working on that was pretty incredible. The history that's gone through there was pretty amazing. So that's definitely my favourite scene that I worked on. And the next question kind of tests my law knowledge, admittedly. I'm kind of more into when it comes to Harry Potter and the wider kind of world, I'm more into kind of the folk stories, the vampires, the werewolves, all that kind of stuff. A lot of the kind of the Eastern European folklore things, and so I'd be quite interested in maybe going really. Merlin's real, right? Merlin was in the world, wasn't he? He was actually a wizard. So I'd like to go back to sort of Arthurian times and see sort of Merlin and maybe some more of that kind of medieval, with the almost kind of like Hans Christian Andersen, all those kind of old fairy tale folklore type eras, and see a bit more of the wizarding world when it was less civilized, let's say.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, over to you. What is your question?
Okay, here's two-part question. First question is to Matthew and Bunny. Harry Potter Land in Universal Studios.
It's the wizarding world of Harry Potter.
Okay, wizarding world of Harry Potter. Okay. What do you think the way they made it? Is there anything about that park that they should have put in? And what do you think of it?
They're different, right? If you go to they're a little bit different. There's Diagon Alley at the one, and then...
Yeah. It's a bit smaller in California, isn't it?
Yeah.
And do they have the Diagon Alley in California?
Yeah.
No, they just have the house. They do.
Did they add it?
They do have them both now. Okay. Well,
I'm talking about the one in university.
It's like when we all first went, so when they opened them and we all were still, I feel like we were still filming. Or maybe we were like...
Yeah, no, it was 20, yeah, we were. Yeah, it was 2010.
And, you know, there's so many things that, you know, when you're filming, they don't need to make things to taste good and look good.
Yeah.
Like, you
No, they
just
don't.
taste things that look good, but they don't taste good, or they're not like real made things. So when you went, from my perspective, when I went to the theme park for the first time, it was so much more interactive and world building than the sets are, because there is no edge that you go to, and then there's lights and people and coffee and, you know, light. You know, it's just like there's the edge that never ends, so you're completely encapsulated in that whole world. So I think it was like more magical at times than the sets were, because you actually went into Honeydukes or the Three Broomsticks and you order your things and you actually get something back.
And it's
not a
complete.
fake, you know, it's actually draft beer or whatever.
Almost all of our sets, bar only a couple, were only half the set. You know, because the other half was taken up by all the crew, the cameras and all that, and we only had half the set. Whereas there, it's all complete constructions. It's full sets, full locations, like the Gringotts.
Yeah.
It is incredible. It never looked like that. Yeah, so it's incredible to see what they've built there. I mean, the butterbeer tastes like
But some people like it.
yeah.
I feel like I've managed the frozen one more. I just choose for us. But I don't know if I'd include anything more. I mean, I'm sure they're going to keep dreaming up other things to add to it.
The ministry, I think.
Yeah,
is,
that's the next part.
Yeah. The second question is to Matthew. Could you let us know, remember the story when you came back from Air Canada when you came up to Toronto?
I recall, yes.
So it was not a good experience.
It was not, no.
Can you tell us what happened?
Oh God, really? That was years ago. It wasn't that. It was
last year. It was last year.
Yeah.
2 years ago.
No, it was. Oh, this is so boring and pretentious and wank. No, long story short, basically, I was supposed to be flying up here with my wife, and we were very much looking forward to. She works very, very hard, and we were looking forward to just having the flight up here together. And they basically, I got all the way to the gate. I had a ticket, I had a seat, and then as I was boarding the flight, they sort of stopped me and said that they'd given my seat away. So my wife could get on, but I had to. Admittedly, they still let me on. I had to go to the back of the plane, and my wife was at the front of the plane, and so it was a less than enjoyable trip. But it was less so much with what happened. Was with the. I can't believe you're making me say this. It was less to do with what happened than the way that it was dealt with. That was my only real issue. Was that they just said there's nothing we can do. We don't care. It was the gate staff were very rude. And you know, things happen on airlines. Airlines suck. We all know that. Everyone has a bad time. I just think they could maybe treat us a little bit nicer while they're shitting on us. That's the only thing.
They should always think about the person you're talking to. You never know who they are.
But that's neither here nor there. It shouldn't happen to any of us. It doesn't matter who we are. Right. They do it to all of us. The fact that it was me is irrelevant. It should, and no one should be treated that way. That's all.
100%.
Yeah.
And it's so weird he just brought that up out of nowhere. He's like got over it or something. Matthew Lewis, still not over Air Canada experience.
No, it's not. It's all airlines. It's the whole capitalist system. Bring it down.
You're lucky the plane even like leaves half the time. They're like, yeah, we just canceled this flight altogether. We'll just go back.
Air Canada radicalized. No, it's not true. It's not true. It's not true.
All right, what's your airline-related question? Go ahead.
Oh my God, please.
I'll avoid that. So, as my generation was kind of the one starting when the books came out, and now you guys have kind of surpassed that generation and you're starting your own new generations. How are you guys and the rest of some of the cast kind of incorporating your kids, or is it like a taboo subject in your house? Are they all very aware of it? My daughter is 12, which was about the same age I was when I started the books. She's done the series 5 times now. And so, to her, it's everything. But for you guys, are you including your kids in it, or is that going to be something that's kind of out of the realm?
My dogs don't care. So,
my son is not even 9 months old yet, so he is not yet been introduced to the world. I think regardless in my household, I mean, yeah, obviously, hope he loves Harry Potter, obviously. I'm not going to push it on him, but maybe slightly. But I feel like, I don't know, I think just generally, like my child or not, like it's just incredible that like some of the kids that we've met even this weekend, you know, are 9 years old, 7 years old, and like it holds up as a story. Like it is magical, it's wonderful, the computer effects, the creatures, everything is just so great and it's timeless and it's still being watched and it's still, you know, taking children into this amazing world of imagination and making you feel like the best thing ever to be at Hogwarts. It's like it's safe, it's like fun, it's great, it's just all those things that you want kids to watch. And it's also cool if kids don't like it and find it later in their life or never like it. But I feel like I haven't yet met one child who thinks it's like old or like, yeah, I don't know, it doesn't need, like to me, it doesn't, it's like still great as a story, like it doesn't need like, in my belief, retelling just yet. Like I think it's great as it is, and I just love that it's still watched. And like there's new generations that come through, and they just really find and identify with all the characters still. And I think that's really amazing. And it's amazing for us to still be here, like Matthew said, connect with people of all ages. And it's intergenerational. It's like it brings families together. Like some people don't agree on anything, but they agree on watching Harry Potter together, and that's so cool. So I hope my son likes it. I don't think it's not a taboo subject for us, but I hope he likes it.
Just so you know, you are my daughter's favorite character.
Amazing. Go ahead. What is your question?
First off, congrats on 10 years of Prisoner of Azkaban, because so many 10 years this year. I have two questions. First question is, who is your favorite person to work with on the set of Harry Potter? And second question is, what was your favorite memory working with Robbie Coltrane and Michael Gambon?
What is it? Well, I mean, obviously, besides Bonbon, my best friend was Alfie Enoch, who played Dean Thomas. Still is. I saw him in Paris last month, and we still get on so well. He's a new father as well. No, he's amazing. I just love him so much. He's so talented. He's so friendly, so kind, and very, very funny. It's very posh, isn't he, Alfie? So yeah, I know. But my memories of weirdly, the memories of those two in particular are not to do with filming. My favourite memory of Gambon was when we took him on the Dueling Dragons roller coaster at Universal, and he was so mad because we told him it was like fine. It was like it just goes round, it's a kid's ride, it's fine. And then it's loop the loop and all this stuff. He's on the front row, and when he came off, he was F this and F that, and you little bastards and all that. So I'll never forget that. And then Robbie, said there was a time at Universal when Robbie and I we were very fortunate to have a private tour of NASA, where a bunch of astronauts took us around and rocket scientists and showed us all of the behind the scenes stuff at Kennedy Space Center, and it was just so incredible. And years later, out of the blue, I don't know how he even got my address. This book turned up about the space race. And it was from Robbie, and he just wrote me a letter saying, "Dear Space Boy," which is what he called because he knew I would love it. He said, "I was going through a charity shop, and I saw this, and I thought of you." And he just picked it up and sent it to me. And I still got it, and I'll never forget it, and that was very sweet.
Yeah, there's so many people that sadly we've lost across the series. Just their humour was just so good. I feel like, and always I just felt especially when I was really young, everyone, including Robbie Coltrane, would just always treat you just as he would someone his age, which when you're 10 years old is a big deal. When you feel like you're going to be patronised or spoken to differently, but they really included us to feel and it gave us a lot of confidence, which we needed to show up and act. And so I think that was so invaluable, and he was great at doing that, Robbie was. And I feel like Michael Gambon's humour was just always again, he had no filter with the fact that we were teenagers or how old we were. He would say anything he wanted to. And I kind of love that. It just showed that it got to that point in his age where he was just himself, and they were a really strong sense of themselves, which when you're finding yourself as a teenager is really cool, I think, to look up to. And then in terms of other people, I loved, for me, my literal like on-screen mum was my little like on-set mum. Julie Walters, who played Molly Weasley, like she really took care of me. The first day I had absolutely no idea what I was doing on platform 9 3/4, and she definitely saw I looked lost, and she really like, okay, it's okay, like stick with me and you'll be okay. So I've always been really grateful for that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, over to you. What's your question?
What's one thing from the books that you feel should have made the final film?
How long do we have? That's a lot. I mean, for our characters, there's a lot, I would say, selfishly. But then there's also loads of things within the series.
Yeah, just do your own.
Just me. I mean, a lot. Just the development of Ginny and Harry's relationship, that was just completely left out. It just like happens in the movie. Whereas if you're a fan of books, you really understand those little like key nuanced moments that help to make that relationship what it is. I think a lot of the Quidditch stuff that Ginny's a part of and how that projects her into her like career later on. How much more kind of pivotal like our characters are in Dumbledore's army, and whilst we did definitely have a great time in that film, Dumbledore's army, and when our characters go to the Ministry of Magic in that film, I loved, but it also could have been like a bit more.
And there's more in Half-Blood Prince as well.
Yeah,
that wasn't
exactly.
in the,
that leads it up to. So a lot, and there's also loads of other characters like Peeves and stuff that's like kind of taken out.
I was, same as Bonnie really, there's lots with Neville. I mean, the one that I always talk about more often than not is the St. Mungo's hospital scene with Neville's parents, which it's just so important to his backstory and who he is and who he was and then who he goes on to become. It's so important to all that. It's very defining. So it would have been nice to have had that. But I spoke to quite a few people this weekend that made me think of another one as well. Was when he stands up to Malfoy and says, "I'm worth 12 of you, Malfoy." I think there's just something quite nice about that. Could have been nice to do that, and I didn't get many scenes with just Tom and I. That would have been nice to have had a moment with Tom. That would have been quite good. So yeah, I might go back and that's a lie, I won't. But maybe I'll look up at least that scene in the book and reread it.
Amazing, thank you. Unfortunately, I think we only have time for like one more question, though. I know. But they're going to be here the rest of the day, so make sure you head out to the floor. But over to you.
It's got to be good, man.
Well, I guess my question to you is, well, first of all, pleasure having you in Niagara Falls.
Oh, it's a good start.
On the American side, so we're whatever. So in that case, my question to you is, in the final movie, when you guys were done filming on the set, did you have the opportunity to take anything from the set? And if so, what was it? And if not, what do you wish you would have taken or had the opportunity if you could have taken something off the set?
My answer's short because I didn't take anything, and I should have now. My one, I would have just loved like my really plain Gryffindor outfit that I wore a million times. Some Weasley knitwear. Just I don't know, some costumes. I think I would be most attached to. But yeah, I'll just look at pictures. I'll let Matthew answer this question.
I did steal some stuff. Well, what I would have liked was the Sword of Gryffindor, obviously.
That would have been a big take.
Yeah,
that was quite a big thing to say.
smuggled it out in my
That's
trousers.
actually in New York City right now.
Yeah, exactly.
And then other people couldn't see it,
I don't care about it. The annoying thing about it is there was two made. There was the one that I used, and there was a slightly smaller one that you and Dan had in Chamber of Secrets. So like you guys could have fought over that one, and I got to keep my one.
I did the sorting hat.
I did not get that. As you say, it's in New York. And the thing with the wands as well, the wands and a lot of some of the other things was that I think they did have an eye on the museum already because they already had the exhibition that was going around. And two, B, they didn't. I think they were unaware of whether there was going to be more. They've got the Fantastic Beasts, potential the new series. I think they always had an eye on the fact this stuff should be going in storage because we're going to need it maybe again at some point in the future. That said, I did steal my costume. Yes, exactly. Thank you. Yes, thank you. So my dresser, which is such a pretentious thing to say, isn't it? But we all had like a personal who would come and help us, not physically dressed.
In the costume department.
Yes, but they would come and straighten our ties and tie our shoes and all that, because we're actors and can't do that ourselves. I'm on a Velcro. No, they weren't. No, anyway, and so God, I almost said his name then. I can't. I've already given away too much by saying it was a he. But he came into my dressing room on the last day and said, "Do you want this?" I said, "Can I have it?" And he was like, "Well, if you put it in your bag right now, yes." So I did, and I took it, and I remember leaving, going to the security check, being really, really nervous. Really, I heard stories of other people being stopped.
I'd be like, oh.
Yeah, I'm in the back of the car, and I'm like, do I wave? Do I just keep? I'm like, oh, bye. But it was fine. I got it out, and it's now on a mannequin at my parents' house, and it's terrifying. Every time I go home and I walk into the spare room and I see it in the car, oh shit! But it's very cool because, I mean, there was a few. We all had multiple costumes, for wear and tear or getting washed when we were working, whatever. But we all had like a hero version, which is like kind of a main one. That's the one I've got. So when you go to the museum, you see it, and they say this is the one. So no, it's not.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you can see my parents' house. They've got it on display.
And before we wrap, it's a bit of a tee up, I think, for an obvious answer. But often you do these kind of things, and the fans relive this content all the time. They're watching these films all the time. They're very well versed in this world. And sometimes, as an actor, you maybe go in and you shoot those scenes that you're involved in, and you don't really get a sense for the universe. But I think you both have proven that you both have such an understanding of this world, even beyond the roles that you play. Why are you so immersed in this? Why do you feel like there's a responsibility to do the research, to be a fan yourself? Why are you so immersed in this world, and still so immersed in this world?
Well, I mean, I was always a fan of it. I read the books before, or the books that were out before the films came along. I've always been a fan of this beyond Harry Potter as well, pop culture stuff. Like, I've always said that, when I was 9 years old, I queued up at Forbidden Planet comic book store in Leeds to go and meet 2 cast members of Star Trek Voyager to sign my VHS tape. So if I'd not been in this world and been in Harry Potter, I'd be sitting right there in the audience alongside you guys. Like, this is my thing. I play video games all day. I watch Star Wars, Star Trek. This is my thing. And so yeah, I'm already a fan of this kind of world. Anyway, Harry Potter, admittedly, I'm not quite as au fait with anymore as I once was, and I need people like Bonnie to help me out, or you guys to sort of help me along. People ask what my favourite spell, and I'm like, what's your favourite spell? But I do feel a responsibility because it means so much to so many people, and to do what we do for a living is easy. It's the most fun. You get to play, put on costumes, and have a laugh all day. It's easy to forget what it means to people and what people have got out of these stories. We are just caretakers of these stories that got to play with them for a few years. And the fact that you guys resonated with what we did, it means so much. I want to make sure that you guys get to enjoy that forever. And if that means that we have the responsibility to maintain your illusions of it, your faith in us, the world of Harry Potter, and maintain its integrity, then I want to make sure that we do that. And also, not just because the story is important, because you guys are so brilliant. We were just talking backstage there, we were talking about other panels, before we came on, you were there, we were talking about other panels and the issues that some people have with maybe fans that cross lines and maybe are a bit odd and a bit out there, and things that are uncomfortable. And we were just saying, Bonnie and I, how we have never ever had to worry about that, ever. The Harry Potter fandom, you guys, are just such a wonderful group of people to be able to stand in front of and meet and shake hands with and sign autographs for and take pictures with and do panels with. And I say this, and I sound like a broken record saying this at every Q&A, but it's because it is true. You guys are so wonderful that we love coming to these things, we love meeting you, and I'm not sure if any other fandom can genuinely say the same. That without fail, you guys are always superb, and that's why I feel a pressure and responsibility to make sure that we maintain that and keep that longevity as long as we can, because you deserve it. So.
I feel like Matthew just said everything so eloquently, so a lover of this genre of storytelling. I never would have got into the world of storytelling if it wasn't, me at 9 years old being just thrown into this incredible world of filmmaking. Like, I just loved it. I was so curious to not only the story and every other actor, but I just loved. I fell in love with filmmaking. That's what I went to college to do, and that's what I'm doing now. We're both still in this world, so I'm just so grateful that not only did it put us here today, still years later, but it literally introduced me to like what I love to do, and I'm so grateful that I get to do every day. And I just love, I think the best part for me now and years later and connecting with everyone is just that I'm so amazed to be able to be part of a series that's really been there for so many people at different points in their life. Hard days, good days, moments where they weren't seen by others, moments where they weren't loved by others, and Harry Potter's just been there for people, and I think that true acceptance and that unconditional love is just such a theme to the story, and why I also love the Weasleys and what they stand for as a family. So to have been a small part of this massive world that has uplifted people is just the best gift ever. So it's just so lovely, and thank you all for coming, and I hope if you haven't come and said hello, we get to say hi, but if not, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Please, make some noise, everybody.